Good day, everyone. Now, this is some of what DaytonCampbell, the Member of Parliament, said in the House of Representatives about the preparation and response around Hurricane Melissa and its victims. Dr. DaytonCampbell highlighted the severe damage in his constituency following storm's landfall, describing the situation in eastern Westmoreland as a total and complete disaster. He noted that many board houses were flattened, roofs torn off, and entire roadways blocked by trees, landslides, and debris, making areas inaccessible. He questioned whether the body retrieval process and death toll accounting in his region and had been handled appropriately. He stated that in his own constituency, he was aware of 25 deaths, 12 in Darliston, 4 in Leamington, 2 in Betheltown, and 7 in White House. Though the national figures were lower, Dr. DaytonCampbell stressed that relief efforts, food, water, shelter, medical aid were still severely lacking in his constituency. He made the appeal for the area to be declared a disaster zone so that more emergency resources could be made available and urged immediate clearance of road and restoration of access so aid could reach cut-off communities. He also raised concerns over shelter conditions and the vulnerability of people with chronic illnesses. For instance, he pointed out that at one shelter, the occupant was sleeping on decks, no mattresses, and basic supplies were missing. He warned that the high stress conditions, lack of medication, and inadequate facilities could lead to second health crisis. Dr. Campbell launched an initiative of his own and adopt a family plan, aiming to match donors to the worst affected households in the constituency, not just board aid drops. He emphasized that many families lost roofs or were flattened, and that targeted support over the long term would be needed, not just immediate relief. Implicit in his remarks was a critique of the national preparedness and response, while he recognized the magnitude of the disaster, a Category 5 storm making direct landfall. He flagged the communications were extremely weak in his area. Many roads remained impassable. Relief supplies were delayed, and that the ground zero nature of his constituency meant that standard systems were overwhelmed. He urged more rapid mobilization and emphasized that the people in his area needed urgent, sustained help. Yes, and I remember when he was, when he stand up to say what he's about to say, the Speaker of the House, I want to cut off mic, and she with her attitude and member, and I remember Dayton, because she won't allow people to speak. She won't allow people to speak. She wants them to get straight to the question. How them to just get straight to questions? They have things to point out before them ask questions. They can't just get up and just go straight to questions. And when she was there, wanted to disrespect Dayton, Dayton says to her, "My mother is in St. Anne. She's nowhere in here. So Damien have to put her in her place, and then no." Not the anyone, Dayton have to put her in her place, and then no, he go along and says what he was about to say. So thank you guys for listening. So please like, share, and subscribe. And you will hear in the clipping behind this what went down.
I have a few questions. At the outset, nothing that I say is politically motivated. I guess when a politician is saying something, people naturally think it's political because it's coming from a politician.
Member, just straight to the question.
Madam Speaker, please. I have a mother that is in St. Anne. I don't have one in here.
Member,
Right? Don't do
question,
that.
please.
Don't do that.
Straight to the question, member.
Don't respond to that.
No. I am simply trying to set the context of what I am saying by saying that nothing that I have to say here is politically motivated. It's a simple point.
No, but there must be a reason why I feel we need to say because of all the social media saying.
My first question, because I think we have to learn from what we do. My first question. In the preparation for the hurricane, when the initial allocation was made of $200 million, we were told that some of us constituencies were not included in that allocation of $200 million. We raised concerns because the system was bigger than the country, several times bigger, and clearly would have affected every parish. Looking at what happened, where Westmoreland was told that we're not a priority, and landfall was made in eastern Westmoreland, do we think that we have the appropriate mechanism in place to make the allocations for impending weather events like this?
Good question. Good question. Good question.
My second question. In the lead up again to the hurricane, we were told that the supplies would not get to the shelters until the system started and persons started going to the centers. Do you think that was the appropriate decision, seeing that we were preparing for a Category 5 hurricane, and naturally it would have caused disruption in access to get to the shelters? I could have made my points easier. Idea, an accurate count of the number of deaths that have occurred in Jamaica.
No.
Because based on my count from my own constituency, in the Darliston division, there are 12. In the Leamington division, 4. Betheltown division, 2. And 7 in the White House division, which is giving me 25. So do we have an accurate count as to the number of deaths that have taken place in the country? Do we believe that the response to retrieve the bodies was appropriate? Because we've had funeral homes that had to come for some, and the community members had to bury others in eastern Westmoreland. So do we believe that the response has been adequate to pick up the bodies? In terms of the response of ministries, departments, and agencies, how do we go about making an assessment on how we deploy personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies to constituencies that are affected? Eastern Westmoreland is where landfall was made. A Category 5 hurricane, the eye of it, so that carries the eye wall, went across the constituency, starting in New Hope to Darliston to Betheltown, and then over into South St. James. Total devastation and destruction along the entire constituency. Do we believe that enough personnel from ministries, departments, and agencies have been mobilized for a constituency like this, which is in fact the actual ground zero of the hurricane? My next question. Do we think that the condition that obtains in the shelters currently is adequate? The Maud McLeod shelter in Darliston, the persons there are sleeping on the desk that are within the shelter. Not one mattress is at the facility. Females are there that are having their monthly cycles without any form of supplies being given to that center. 3-month-old baby in the center. Do we think that sufficient work is being done in the centers, in the shelters that currently obtain? There are over, by my estimation, at least 2,000 homes that are flat, not damaged. They are totally destroyed. The foundation is all that you see. Do we think enough is being done to provide shelter, food, and water for those persons who have been displaced? I'm encouraged, Prime Minister, by some of what you have said. I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. Not being unreasonable, I'm encouraged by some of what you have said. The establishment of the points by the JDF is something that is long overdue, so that we can have access points across the constituency where you can airlift supplies to and then distribute from there, and that we can get medical personnel in place. The hurricane itself and the destruction that it has caused is a high-stress environment. To be hypertensive, have high blood pressure, and be out of your medication in a high-stress environment is a recipe for disaster. It's a ticking time bomb. So those persons that are within Eastern Westmoreland that needs medical care, the centers have to be set up urgently in a way that the army can mobilize persons to the different communities so they can attend to persons. There are at least 3 communities that are still marooned. And at Grand Gala, we see soldiers rappelling from the helicopters. It can't be just practice. Now is the real thing. Beeston Spring, Beeston Spring, the 3 areas that are maroon, Beeston Spring and a community called Touch Valley, and there's another section there called Left Hall, and then you have Amity up in close to the border with South St. James. PM, my own assessment, and I'm not a specialist in this, but my own assessment, looking at the damage to the housing stock, is that I believe that the only thing that I see that can quickly deal with it is the containerized housing solutions that come anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 US landed and erected.
Member, do you have any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do.
Okay, please,
yes,
member.
Yes, I do.
Please, member, questions.
What is the possibility of us, as a country, putting a program together that will see us being able, and I'm sure the other members from Westmoreland will speak for themselves, but and surrounding areas, because Northwest St. Elizabeth is in the same category, you know. So it's not a political point that I am making, because the damage there is just as bad. What is the possibility of us being able to implement a program quickly where we can get some of those units erected, so at least we can get that mother from under the tarpaulin with her children? That is the current situation in Belmont and Bluefields and elsewhere across the constituency. We also need, if you want me to ask it as a question, when will we be able to have some repair done to the gas station facilities so that when somebody says to me they are coming from Kingston, I don't have to ask them to bring me low sulfur so that I can drive? When will we have some facility in place that persons can get access to fuel so that they can, even the elected officials, that they can actually go to the communities? Madam Speaker, I have nothing but concern for the people that I represent. I don't care who they voted for. Not my concern at this time. I'm talking about the people and how they are currently living.